Hello, CrossFit Linchpin. Today is November 6th, 2019. It is a Wednesday. And I think I mentioned this the last time we clicked on, but I'm going to do a little chit chat here just to kind of set the mood, if you will, set the tone. So, there's been enough requests for me to pay attention that these Linchpin Conversations, that I'm calling them, that we do on Instagram. I'm on Instagram Live right now. They disappear in 24 hours and they're gone forever. So people wanted them to stick around, which is cool. So I started recording the videos and putting them on our YouTube channel. So they live forever on YouTube. Great. Then somebody said it would be great to have them just in an audio format so I could listen to them when I drive or whatever it happened to be. Cool. So I am in the process of I got a hosting platform and setting it all up. I guess you would call these podcasts. So these will be podcasts. They will be available for you to listen to in just audio format. And I just don't know how long it takes to hear back from Apple once you submit that you have a podcast. They review it and all that. I heard it takes anywhere from 1 week to 3 weeks. So I submitted it a few days ago, so we'll see how that goes. So this is an interesting format. This is a Instagram Live video. So when you hear me talking to somebody, I'm not crazy. If you're just listening to an audio format, I'm answering somebody's question that's on a screen. So they're Instagram Live videos that are recorded and put on YouTube, and those YouTube videos are then have the audio stripped out of them, and they'll be available in podcast form. So that's that. And they'll be called Linchpin Conversations. So hopefully everybody enjoys them. As always, throw out questions if you have them. I'll try to look back and answer any that I find interesting. But today's topic is technique and strength, two topics that are usually well received in the community. And this is based off of yesterday's workout was every 2 minutes for 30 minutes, one power clean. So a good heavy lift. And there was a lot of people putting up great numbers and a lot of people that had the lights on between the ears that realized, I don't need to yank on the bar harder to increase my power clean or squat clean or jerk, you name it, back squat, deadlift. The technique goes a long way in helping improve those lifts, which is 100% spot on, 100% spot on. And if you've got a coach that you know and trust, it's great to get those eyes on you. If not, if you take some money, save up a little money, and there's a really sharp coach in your local area, and you can compensate that man or woman for a 1 hour session and go in and just get one-on-one coaching of the lift of your choice and just have somebody with a really sharp eye and effective cues watch what you're doing, you'll leave that 1 hour infinitely better than you walked in, and it will be money very, very well spent. And of course, there's a bunch of videos online that you can watch, the CrossFit and other people have posted over the course of the years that you can just videotape yourself, then watch the slow-mo thing on screen, and maybe put both those things on your laptop and go frame by frame and see where do you start to deviate from somebody else, and that's an area that you'd want to focus on and improve. So there are ways to do it, depending upon whether your budget includes the ability to hire somebody for an hour. Multiple times would be cool to watch you, or you just videotape yourself on your phone and find some instructional videos online and do a little comparison. Both of those work, and it can fit any budget. But all of this is wrapped into just some classic CrossFit methodology that brings me back to my teaching level 1 seminar days when it was all kinds of lectures, all kinds of interaction that would happen at the level 1. It was fantastic. But my favorite lecture to give, beyond a shadow of a doubt, was the technique lecture. Loved it. It was so fun because it was a very fluid and dynamic lecture. There was points that I had to hit and things that we had to get across, but there was a lot of engagement back and forth with the crowd, which always made for just more fun for me as a lecturer. And it was one of those things that I hope it's starting to change. Man, I would have to think it is, but back in the day it was, oh, CrossFitters just have such terrible technique, blah, bitty, blah, bitty, blah. Every other community is just full of miraculous, perfect moving individuals that, you know, even from the very first time they touched a barbell, they were just gorgeous, which is just a lie. You know, it's just one of those deals where beginners look like beginners. Shocking, right? And beginners, they don't move well. And their back could be in a better position. And they pull early with their arms. And they basically reverse curl the barbell. And their stance is terrible. And, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then intermediate look like intermediate, and expert look like expert, but it takes a really long time to go from one of those phases to the next phase and to the next phase. And so, you know, when CrossFit first started, you just had thousands and thousands of people doing movements they hadn't done before, and guess what? They didn't look perfect because they were learning. So that's just somebody who would cast those stones towards CrossFit, I didn't have a lot of respect for, because you could say that same thing in anything. I mean, as a former SEAL, I obviously have done a lot of shooting of firearms in my life, which is a complicated endeavor, by the way, not unlike lifting. You're trying to do something very complicated, and you're trying to do it quickly. So when you add complexity and speed, errors occur. That's just how it is. It would be like if I got a bunch of brand new people out onto the firing range and watch these people who had never handled a firearm before and tried to put them through a complicated drill, and then they didn't look good, and then I mocked them and made fun of them. That would be stupid. And that's what just a lot of people did with people that were new to learning the clean, new to learning the snatch, new to learning whatever. It's just, it is what it is. So hopefully those people have matured a little bit, pulled their head out of their trasero, and advanced in life. But it is what it is. So if you are still in the beginner phase right now and your movements don't look ideally how you'd like them to look, that's okay. You're going to be there for a while. Just try to walk out of the gym a little bit better than you walked in every day. But this gets me, I'm sorry, it was a tangent. One of my strengths is tangents. Gets me back to the technique lecture, which was one of my favorite lectures. Because I would try to set a trap just to get people thinking, right? Confuse them a little bit. I want to see the smoke come out of the ears. Because CrossFit was always big on, you can't just say stuff. You have to, Roberts Travis, Firearms and Fitness Retreat. Oh, now you're speaking my language. You have to define your terms. You know, back in the day, everybody would use the term functional. We're doing functional fitness. This is a functional movement. But they would never actually define in black and white terms, hey, when I use the term functional, here's what it means, instead of me just saying functional all the time and having everybody nod along without actually any understanding of what it is. So the same kind of happened with strength, you know, and that would come into play in the technique lecture. So everybody wants to get stronger, right? Blah, blah, blah. And so one of the traps that I would lay is, pick your lift. I don't care what it is. Bench press, back squat, power clean, squat snatch, yada, yada, yada. But especially like a classic lift, like a squat, dead, or press. If somebody lifts whatever they lift, and 1 year later, there's 25 more pounds on the bar, a year later, has that individual gotten stronger? And, you know, anybody who doesn't know, it's a trick question, of course. They're like, well, yeah. I mean, if a year later on the same lift, you're lifting 25 more pounds, you're stronger. I mean, how's that hard? Right. I'm like, okay, what if it didn't take a year? What if it took 9 months? And they're like, well, yes, yeah, the person's stronger. 6 months. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, but stronger. 3 months. Yeah, stronger. 1 week. And now they're like, I don't know if I like this. Where's this going? Okay, there's more weight on the bar, which that was my metric before for saying that the individual was stronger, but now this guy keeps decreasing the time component, and I don't like it. I'm not sure if he's stronger anymore. It's like, what if it happened in 1 hour? What if it happened after a 1 hour coaching session? You named the lift in 24. You walked out with 25 more pounds and you walked in the bar, and people would be like, no, that person is not stronger. You can't do that in 1 hour. I don't like where you're going with this. Stop confusing me. And it was a fun lecture. We'd have good interaction back and forth in the crowd, but people didn't like the decreasing time component. And what we would try to say is, we obviously understand why they're coming from there, from that point of view, because it all depends back to how you define strength. And so in the 10 general physical skills that CrossFit would give, strength is one of those. And strength on that list of 10 general physical skills is defined in a very classic exercise physiology manner, just contractile potential. There's some device, I'm sure an exercise scientist could tell you, which you could hook up to your body and you can measure the contractile potential of your muscles. And so you could hook the same device up to athlete A and athlete B. Maybe they're both 6 feet tall, they're both 200 pounds, so they look the same, but one has more contractile potential than the other as measured by this little device. And so, I guess that individual that has more contractile potential has more strength from a classic exercise physiology standpoint. And that is what people kind of had in their head when they're thinking, okay, well that takes a while to improve that. You can't improve that contractile potential in 1 hour. And they're accurate in that, by that definition of strength. But CrossFit put forward a different definition of strength, and I'll illustrate as to why. Because let's say you have this individual, again, they're both 6 feet tall, they're both 200 pounds. This individual has more contractile potential than this individual. So this individual's stronger. The little machine said he's stronger, okay? This guy doesn't know the first thing about technique, and this guy does. So even though this guy doesn't have the contractile potential, he knows how to move his body in a wave of contraction, core to extremity, from large muscles to little muscles. And he can do a squat clean, and this guy can't. He can do a power clean, and this guy can't. He can walk on his hands, this guy can't. This guy's just yanking on the rings, but can't get up on them. This guy with less contractile potential is doing muscle-ups. This guy can't get himself over the bar. This guy's doing bar muscle-ups with less contractile potential. So you can see, so now it's like, okay, one guy's got more contractile potential than the other, but which human being would you rather be? The one who's stronger but can't get the bar to the front rack position, or the individual that is not as strong compared to a classic exercise science contractile potential definition, but can do all those incredible functional movements and do them very well? So, again, it was this big trap that we used to set. It was a fantastic lecture. It was great. And the point being that there's that classic definition of strength that's in the 10 general physical skills, but then CrossFit submitted its own definition of strength in addition to that. And its definition of strength was that strength was the productive application of force. Okay? So both athletes are applying force to the rings. They're applying force to the barbell, trying to get it to the front rack, trying to do a bar muscle up, whatever it happened to be. And one of those is applying that force productively, and the other one is not. And the one who's doing it productively is accomplishing functional movements, accomplishing work. And the other one is not. So we said strength is the productive application of force. Great. Athlete A and athlete B can both produce force. What's actually more important is, what can you do with that force? Can you accomplish work? Can you accomplish meaningful work in the gym or in the real world? And that's really what matters at the end of the day, right? It's not how hard you can contract your muscles, it's what can you do with that. And so that was a big focus of CrossFit. And so then there's one other layer to that. So if our definition of strength was strength is the productive application of force, then that gets back to somebody put 25 pounds in their lift, they did it in 1 hour. How did they do that? And of course, everyone in the audience is like, technique. They must have improved their technique because their contractile potential didn't increase. And they're 100% correct, completely correct. So the second part of that definition is strength is the productive application of force, and the productive application of force is technique dependent. This classic CrossFit level 1 methodology right there. So meaning, whatever you have in your body, the contractile potential that you have, you will never realize your full potential to do work, to do functional movements, without technique. Technique is what separates you. You've got contractile potential here, actually doing work and functional movements here, with this stuff in the middle is technique. And so technique is completely critical. It's going to have you doing more work faster and doing work more efficiently than other individuals. So this all gets back to any sort of CrossFitters don't care about technique is a fundamental misunderstanding of the CrossFit methodology. Because if you actually understand everything that I just said, and if our goal is to do work, functional movements, and to do work quickly, you are not going to do that, at least in the long term, without technique. It ain't going to happen. So technique should be our whole world. Improving our technique, focusing on our technique, because not only is it going to be great for your body, keeping you happy and healthy for a long time, but the road to success and the road to PRs and the road to accomplishing work is paved with technique, 100%. And then you look at some just little fire-breathing maniac like Chris Spieler. He's a lunatic. He's a giant slayer. How does Chris Spieler take down stronger athletes with more contractile potential than he does on particular lifts? He is a technique ninja. That man's movement is beautiful and precise, and there is no wasted effort. The lines of action are exactly where they should be. The barbell goes right where it should be. And because of that, he is able to soak up every drop of contractile potential in his muscles and execute those functional movements and astonish people. And there are other individuals with more contractile potential yanking on the barbell really hard that can't do what he can do at 5'5", 142 pounds. Technique is huge. Absolutely huge. And there's a great video for this. If you're a CrossFit nerd, which if you're watching this, there's probably a decent chance that you are. One of my favorite videos from Greg Glassman back in the day, just old school, gritty, low production value, lighting's terrible, audio's hit or miss, but the content, I've watched this video I don't even know how many times. You can go to YouTube and type in CrossFit productive application of force. And I've got the video called up right now. It's like an 11-minute video or something like that. There's just jewels. He's just dropping knowledge in there time and time again. And, let me see if we got anybody. Sorry. Carl Stedman, coming over from the UK. I have the potential to do the washing up after dinner. That's great. Exactly, yeah. There's a difference between potential and actually doing something. There was a seminar that we did, and maybe I'll end on this and then I'll look back and see if there's any other questions. There was a seminar we did, and there was, I believe it was for police officers, if my memory serves. I've told this story before because it's funny and it's illuminating to the point. Police officers are also just merciless with making fun of each other. And they're going through the level 1 seminar and technique lectures given. And anyway, they're all razzing this one individual, just making fun of him. And this guy's built just like Adonis. I mean, he just looks like an anatomy and physiology poster. He's just yoked, lean. I feel confident saying that most men would be like, be great to look like that. That looks fantastic. And everyone kept calling him DMO, DMO, DMO. And one of the level 1 lecturers eventually like, okay, like, what's the joke? We're missing the joke. And this guy, who, again, looked incredible, he actually wasn't performing well over the course of the weekend with a lot of the skills and drills and lifts that we were doing. Even though he looked amazing, it wasn't happening on the floor, right? The execution wasn't there. And so we're like, what does DMO stand for? And one of his buddies or sergeants like, tell him, DMO. And he said, display model only. How horrifically sarcastic and biting is that? And at the same time, absolutely hysterical. So point being, he had the look, had the physique. I'm sure he had contractile potential through the roof. But he wasn't able to use that in a manner that was successful in accomplishing functional movements. Now, if that individual focused on his technique and put in the time, then you're going to have a ferocious beast right there. But again, we all start somewhere, right? So anyway, focus on your technique. It's time well spent. All right, let me go back, and I hope you guys check out that video. It's a phenomenal video. See if I missed anything. Some waves back at everybody. How about programming slam balls? Fireman Fit Josh. I probably won't. I don't want to lie to anybody. I probably won't. Feel free to work them in. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great, but you could go your whole life not to a slam ball and be perfectly fit. They're wonderful, though. But also one of the things which is tough to tell about slam balls, and this is neither here nor there, so if you're using them in your own programming, rock on. I can do slam balls and exert a tremendous amount of effort slamming that thing down on the ground and pulling myself under it and standing back up, and that's one rep, right? Or I really don't have to slam it down that hard. I can almost just kind of drop it, and then I scoot down there and I beat the ball and I pick it up, and I can make them a whole heck of a lot easier. Same movement, same range of motion, same everything. Really, really challenging and difficult to measure. If two athletes are doing them and one's really busting their butt and one's not, that's tough. If two athletes pick up a 225-pound deadlift, you picked up a 225-pound deadlift. If two athletes run a mile, they ran a mile. So now I understand if one weighs more or less than the other, then one did more work over the course of the mile. I get that. But a slam ball is one of those interesting things where it is a wonderful movement, but it's really tough to measure athlete A versus athlete B. But you want to throw them into your own stuff, man, rock on, have a blast with them. There's some good workouts out there with them. All right, let's see what else we got. Stu here from Wales. What's up, man? As an older guy, 49, Stu, don't call yourself older. Come on. I'm 44. I'm only 5 years behind you. I'm not ready to call myself an older guy yet. Okay. As an older guy, 49, could you recommend a few exercises that benefits older guys, if any? Turkish get-ups, perhaps. Very huge question, Stu. That benefits older guys. I don't know if that implies that you have some sort of limitation or tweak or something that you're looking to get better on. Turkish get-up that you mentioned is wonderful because it's a great shoulder opener. It's great for balance, great for coordination. So that's a good one. My oversimplification of that question is all the same stuff that I would give to somebody who is 30 years old, I would give to somebody who's 49 years old. I continue to give to myself who's 44 years old. However, as the years go by, hopefully, and this is a topic we chat about regularly, what's come with those years is a bit more wisdom and a little less ego. And so, I still need to do ring muscle-ups and cleans and squat cleans and overhead squats and all that, but I'm just a lot more cognizant as to whether or not I should scale, whether or not I should reduce the loading, and as I get older, I pay a whole heck of a lot more attention to my warm-up and make sure before I dive into the workout, as often as I can, that I am truly good and warmed up. And then at the end, I really do cool down and stretch to make sure that I'm going to feel good for the next day. And so that is something that everybody should pay attention to. But as the years go by, I would give that the warm-up, the reduction of ego, the embracing of scaling, and the cool down a whole lot of attention. And if there are some movements that, let's just say, a little bit of discomfort, appropriate discomfort, if that's a term, because you're improving a position that's sticky and tough, that's okay. But pain's not good. So we want a pain-free range of motion. Discomfort's one thing, pain's another thing. And as you should always be trying to avoid anything that hurts, it's painful, but as you get older, I would definitely pay far more attention to that. All right, let's see if I missed anything else here. Virtual high fives coming back at you. Hello, Argentina. Okay. All right, maybe we're good. Back to the Carl Stedman there. Oh, okay, one more. Let's see what we got here. A couple things happened. Any thoughts on how to work in ski erg into Linchpin programming if I have one available alongside the rower and the Echo Bike? A.D. Combs. Absolutely, my friend. So, anytime that we program something, right? Like, let's say there's a 400-meter run in a workout. It's Helen. Well, there's a reason that on that day we programmed a run and not a bike and not a row, specifically because there'd be more interference with one of those other things. We know what we did the day before. We know what's coming up the next day, and so a run's there for a reason. A row's there and not a run for a reason, vice versa. But life happens, right? So if you're somewhere where there's inclement weather, you fill in the blank, and you're going to make some sort of a substitution. You're going to row instead of run, or vice versa. You're going to put the bike in, or you got a shiny new skier, and you want to fire that thing up. That's all good. And there are general, you know what? Stand by, Luke. Give me 1 second. Let me work my computer here. Where's my mouse? Dang it. This is annoying. Anyway, in general, if there's a 400-meter run, you could replace that with a 500-meter row. You could replace that with 1,200 meters on the assault bike, the Echo Bike, the Airdyne. You would replace that with 1,000 meters on the Concept 2 bike erg. And the ski erg, I want to say, is the same as the rower. So if something had like a 400-meter run in it, you could replace it with a 500-meter row or a 500-meter ski erg would be the things to do. Oh, here we go. My computer is very much annoying me this morning. Anyway, thanks for nothing, Apple. Let's see. Linchar, going to start that free week tomorrow. Awesome. Let's see. JJ Argon, I found working with injuries forced you to work on technique as well. Yes, I mean, no doubt about it. And the goal is hopefully, the goal of all these videos is, I want everybody to learn from the knucklehead mistakes that I made so they can avoid them and have just a more efficient, less bumpy road in their path to long-term health and fitness. And so I would highly encourage that everybody embraces technique earlier rather than later. I think everything will be better for it. So that's it. I'm going to prepare for the day here. Hope everybody enjoys today's workout. Should be a good one with the rowing and the push jerks. And as always, go to CrossFitLynchpin.com, check it out. You want a free week of the private track, which is awesome. Just shoot me an email to info@CrossFitLynchpin.com. We'll hook you up. And I'll keep you posted on when this will be available in podcast form, but hopefully in the next month or so. That's it. Have a wonderful day, and we will talk later.